Welcome back to another edition of Myrtle's Rant. I've always had quite a bit of a debate in my head whether I should call it Myrtle's Rant or not, because, there goes Myrtle again. But there's always something to rant about. I promise you there's lots and lots of good news and cannabis in South Africa. But there's some issues that I just need to vent a little about. So we're going to insert this into the latest edition of the Hotbox show, so you'll be able to watch it there and also get some really good news on that side of the camera, coming to a YouTube channel near you Thursday night, 7 o'clock, the Hotbox show. But today I've got something on my mind that happened about 3 weeks ago. Amy and I attended a workshop with the Central Drug Authority, and this workshop was organized by Students for Sensible Drug Policy, our amazing colleagues Charity and Alistair over there at SSDP International. And in the room were the Central Drug Authority plus a whole lot of traditional leaders. And these leaders were very well represented from 8 of the 9 provinces, because as everybody might know, the Khoisan leaders in the Western Cape are not recognized by the House of Traditional Leaders yet. We also know that the IKS Bill, the Indigenous Knowledge Systems Bill from 2018, hasn't been promulgated into law yet, much like our Cannabis for Private Purposes Act draft regulations. So, in fear of making cannabis take up the whole 2 days over at the workshop, we certainly did get a lot of opportunity to interact with the speakers. We made a presentation about our police reform project, and generally the 2 days was incredibly interesting to get everybody's different perspective. And I suppose the thing that we were most excited about was the physical presence of Mr. Makolobete from the Department of Justice. Him being the person who wrote these draft cannabis regulations together with the Justice Portfolio Committee in Parliament. And we sent in all of our comments on his draft regulations on the 5th of March. That particular Monday and Tuesday out at Birchwood Estate near our Tambo Airport, brought Mr. Makolobete to our meeting, and we got him to answer some questions. So we asked, what is happening with the draft regulations? So he said that the amended regulations, after receiving 2,807 comments, the amended regulations would be sent back to Parliament middle of May. So we know we've passed the middle of May now, and would maybe be put into the Government Gazette in order to promulgate the Act and in order to take cannabis out of the Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act of 1992 by the end of May. Well, we all know that the end of May is at the end of next week. So we never say never. We are still giving the Justice Portfolio Committee some chance that maybe something will happen next week. But we're not really so sure, because since the 5th of March we've had no correspondence. And as the venerable head of our legal team, Paul Michael Keichel, always says, that the government have got a PR problem. We're all here. We know we're all on that huge, big, long email list from when the Act was still a bill. And when it was a bill, we were all called to present to Parliament. It was done very efficiently over 2 days in those times. Twice or 3 times, I think, we actually presented, and people were very clear and concise about what they wanted out of this bill. But this time around, which is the final crunch, we haven't heard a thing. So this is what I'm ranting about today. And as an example of a really, really strong contrast, Amy and I belong to this international group called Global Justice in Emerging Cannabis Markets. And there are people from all over the world in this group. And it's a very interesting group because we get lots and lots of updates on what's happening around the world. Now, last week somebody posted some news about Switzerland. Now, I think if you take Switzerland and South Africa, the only two things that they have in common is both the names begin with an S. I don't think that you could get two countries that are more worlds apart than Switzerland and South Africa. But you might not know this, but Switzerland has been running a pilot program since 2022 or 2023 for cannabis social clubs. This pilot program has been devised by universities in conjunction with the government to test the feasibility of cannabis social clubs as a commercialization model for Switzerland. And when I attended the Cannabis Social Club's working group in Barcelona in 2023, there were 3 representatives from Switzerland, and we heard at length how they devised this pilot program. So now it's been moving along, and I don't know if you know, but in Switzerland, every single move according to the law and according to governments is tested by votes. So they have in Switzerland, their provinces are called cantons, and the government wants to change the law, tighten or loosen regulations on this and that. We have this thing put up to a vote. So the pilot program was put up to this vote, and the post says, the National Council's Social Security and Health Committee in Switzerland has sent back its draft bill to regulate the cannabis market. It sent it back to its subcommittee to examine the main points raised during the consultation and to revise the draft. So we don't know if this is happening with our draft regulations, but here they've certainly taken account of it and they've sent it back. The draft bill is meant to implement the parliamentary initiative for the regulation of cannabis for better protection of young people and consumers. And doesn't that just get to the point? Because we heard in the CDA meeting, young people, what about the youth? Oh, it just happened to be on 420, the meeting. Oh no, all the students are zonked out at school because of your 420. But now, Switzerland just tells it like it is. It's the regulation of the cannabis market for better protection of young people and consumers. All of us who consume cannabis in any way, shape or form. Responses from the consultation process are divided. A majority of cantons reject the draft in its current form, while a minority of cantons and the Conference of Cantonal Social Affairs Ministers are broadly in favour. Representatives of cities, organisations active in the fields of addiction and prevention, and the hemp industry are largely supportive of the draft, whereas organisations from the police and justice sectors mostly express a neutral position. Well, we know that our police and our justice were insisting that we have to have plant counting, because otherwise they can't do their jobs. Because they want to continue their jobs of arresting us and locking us in cages. Here in Switzerland, instead of trying to arrest us and lock us up in cages, the justice sectors mostly express a neutral position. Calls are being made to strengthen youth protection always and to introduce specific measures for minors. We've already got that. Minors in cannabis cannot be criminally charged. We have systems in place, thank you to the people who fought for the rights of our children not to be criminalized. We have an age limit of 18. Yes, 18, not 25 or some arbitrary number that some people think. It's 18 in South Africa when you become an adult. The cantons consider enforcement to be overly complex and are calling for additional resources to that end. Online sales are also a subject of critical debate. We haven't even looked at online sales. The subcommittee will turn to this matter in the course of this year. The committee rejected by 17 votes to 8 a motion to suspend work until the pilot trials have been fully evaluated. So it might not be going at breakneck speed. They might not be charging along in Switzerland, but they're doing it slowly and methodically with consultations from the people who matter. And you know, we've put great effort, many hours into communicating with Parliament, and we just think it's disrespectful for them not to even just pen one email to say thank you for your contributions to our draft regulations and we'll get back to you in due course. Nothing like that, not even a reply to all like we used to get with the bill. So we sit and we wait, and maybe the news will break next Friday when we're all at the expo and the Chiba Cannabis and Hemp Summit. Maybe it won't break at all. Maybe we'll just wait with no communications. I definitely did get the idea from Mr. Makulubeti that this wasn't a very important issue. You know, the way that he worked out the number of plants, and you can read about that on our blog, is absolutely absurd. And I just thought that this was really worth a rant. If anybody out there has got a connection with Mr. Makulubeti or the Justice Portfolio Committee, please write to them and ask them what's happening. Otherwise, it's going to be a long, bleak winter ahead of waiting, and cannabis will still be in the Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act of 1992, and we will still see the arrests that happen in South Africa every single day. And that is my rant over.
The only way you're going to uplift this economy is to unleash the plant for everybody. Not hemp, not medicine, dacha, all of it.